The maintenance beacon chirped to life in the cramped cockpit of the stellar spanner, painting Chief Engineer Maya Rodriguez's face in pulsing red light. She'd been dozing in the pilot's chair, feet propped on the console, during the long haul back from servicing the Kuiper Belt relay stations. The beacon's urgent tone scattered her dreams of hot showers and real coffee back on Earth. "Control, we've got something weird out here," she radioed, squinting at the readout. "Getting maintenance signatures I've never seen before. Strong ones." "Copy that, Spanner," came the reply through light minutes of static. "Can you classify?" Maya pulled up the spectrum analysis, frowning at patterns that defied standard classification. After 15 years maintaining humanity's farthest-flung infrastructure, she thought she'd seen every kind of mechanical failure signature possible. This was something else entirely. Negative, control. But whatever it is, it's big and it's broken. She tapped her console, bringing the rest of her 4-person crew out of hibernation. Going to check it out. The Stellar Spanner was hardly an impressive ship, a retrofitted cargo hauler stuffed with spare parts and diagnostic equipment, more floating workshop than proper spacecraft. But it was the only maintenance vessel operating in this remote region of space. If something needed fixing out here in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, Maya's team was it. Her crew stumbled onto the bridge as their hibernation fog cleared. Derek Chen, the material specialist, immediately buried himself in the sensor readings. Lisa O'Neill, their systems expert, started running comparison analyses against known mechanical signatures. James Okafor, the structural engineer, just whistled low as he studied the main view screen. "That's no human construction," he said quietly. The object that slowly rotated into view was massive, easily 10 times the size of their ship. Its hull was a strange iridescent material that seemed to shift colors as they watched. Geometric patterns traced across its surface in complex, alien symmetry. And it was clearly in trouble, even to human eyes. The way it listed to one side and vented plasma spoke of serious system failures. "Multiple cascade failures in what I think is their power grid," Lisa reported. "If those patterns mean what I think they do, they're looking at total systems failure within hours." Maya drummed her fingers on her armrest, mind racing. There were protocols for potential first contact situations, of course. But none of them quite covered finding a broken-down alien ship in the outer solar system. Still, a ship in distress was a ship in distress. The engineering problems might be alien, but that just made them more interesting to solve. "Suit up," she ordered. "Full quarantine protocols. We're going to offer assistance." Her crew turned to stare at her. "You want to board an alien vessel?" Derek asked incredulously. "We don't even know if they're friendly. They're broadcasting maintenance signatures on frequencies our equipment can detect," Maya pointed out. "That's not an accident, they're asking for help in a way they knew someone might understand. Besides, friendly or not, we can't just leave them out here to die." The alien vessel's size became even more apparent as they approached in their repair skiff. Strange symbols scrolled across its hull, warning markers perhaps, or maybe just identification. A massive aperture irised open as they drew near, clearly an invitation to enter. "Well, they want us to come aboard at least," James observed nervously. The docking bay they entered was cavernous, easily large enough to house their entire ship, not just their small skiff. The artificial gravity was slightly stronger than Earth normal, making their movements awkward. The air was breathable according to their suit sensors, but they kept their helmets sealed as a precaution. They found the aliens waiting for them, tall, willowy figures with 4 arms and iridescent skin that rippled with colors. Their large eyes widened at the sight of the humans, but they made no aggressive moves. One stepped forward, holding up its hands in what seemed to be a universal gesture of peace. It spoke, its voice a musical series of tones that their translators couldn't begin to process. But then it did something unexpected. It pulled out what was clearly a technical diagram, pointing to various systems and making gestures that any engineer would recognize as indicating mechanical failure. Maya felt a smile spread across her face. They might not be able to speak each other's languages, but every engineer knew the universal language of broken machinery. She pulled out her own tablet, calling up diagnostic readouts from their initial scans. The alien's eyes lit up with understanding as it studied the human technical displays. It pointed to specific readings, then gestured for them to follow. As they walked through the massive ship's corridors, Maya's engineering mind was racing, taking in the incredible technology around them. The alien's engineering was decades, maybe centuries ahead of humanity's, but the basic principles had to be similar. Energy was energy, momentum was momentum, entropy was entropy. They reached what was clearly an engine room, though the technology was like nothing Maya had ever seen. The alien engineer pointed to a pulsing crystal matrix that dominated the center of the room. The crystals were dark and lifeless on one side, and the patterns of energy flow through the system were clearly disrupted. Maya studied the system for long moments, her mind working to translate alien technology into familiar engineering principles. The crystal matrix was clearly some kind of power distribution system, but the failure point wasn't in the crystals themselves, it was in the regulatory systems that kept the power flow stable. She turned to her crew. Lisa, start mapping their power distribution networks. Derek, analyze the crystal structure and figure out what's failed. James, work with them to understand the structural loads this system is under. Let's show our new friends what human engineers can do. As her crew spread out to work, Maya caught the alien engineer's eye and tapped her chest. Maya, she said clearly. The alien understood, touching its own chest and making a musical trill that might have been its name. Maya nodded. They might not be able to speak each other's languages yet, but they could speak the language that mattered right now, the universal language of fixing what was broken. The real work was about to begin. The alien engine room hummed with an otherworldly resonance as Maya's crew spread out to tackle the complex system before them. The crystalline matrix towered 3 stories high, its lattice structure casting prismatic shadows across the curved walls. Lisa O'Neill muttered to herself as she traced power conduits that seemed to fade in and out of normal space, while Derek took samples of the damaged crystal with tools that looked comically primitive next to the alien technology. The alien engineer, whom Maya had started mentally calling Song due to their musical speech, brought up a holographic display that filled the center of the room. The image showed the crystal matrix's internal structure, complex energy flows represented by streams of light that twisted and interconnected in dizzying patterns. But where the display showed steady flows of energy, the actual matrix before them stuttered and sparked. Okay, Maya said, mostly to herself as she studied the display. The principle has to be similar to our quantum field generators, just, way more advanced. She pulled out her tablet, sketching a rough diagram of what she thought the system was doing. Song trilled in excitement, reaching over to correct certain elements of her drawing with long, graceful fingers. James called out from where he was examining the structural supports. Chief, these crystal formations, they're not just power conduits. They're load-bearing. The whole ship's superstructure is integrated with the power system. That's why the failure is cascading, Lisa added, looking up from her analysis. It's not just power distribution failing, the structural integrity field is collapsing too. The whole ship is literally coming apart at the atomic level. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. No wonder the aliens had been so desperate for help. Their ship wasn't just broken, it was dissolving around them. But the complexity of the system was overwhelming. How could they possibly repair something so far beyond their understanding? Then she noticed something. In the holographic display, the energy flows formed patterns that reminded her of something. She pulled up an old reference diagram from her tablet. Look at this, she said to her crew. The energy distribution through their matrix, it's following the same mathematical principles as a Fibonacci sequence. They're using natural growth patterns to regulate power flow. Derek's eyes lit up with understanding. That's why the crystal structure is failing. The growth pattern's been disrupted. It's like a crystal cancer. One malformed section is causing the whole pattern to break down. Song and the other alien engineers gathered around Maya's tablet, their skin rippling with colors that might have indicated excitement or hope. Maya sketched out more diagrams, showing the mathematical principles she recognized. The aliens responded with their own annotations, and soon the tablet was covered in a mixture of human and alien notations, two species finding common ground in the language of mathematics. "We can't fix this with our usual methods," Maya said slowly, an idea forming. "But maybe we don't have to. If the crystal matrix follows natural growth patterns, maybe we can help it heal itself." She turned to Derek. "Remember that experimental crystalline welding technique you were working on? The one that used sonic frequencies to guide crystal formation?" Derek's eyes widened. "It might work. But we'd need to scale it up massively, and we'd need exact frequencies to match their crystal structure." The next few hours were a blur of activity. James and Lisa worked with the aliens to rig a massive sonic emitter from spare parts and alien technology. Derek analyzed crystal samples at the molecular level, working out the exact frequencies needed. Maya and Song collaborated on calculating the precise mathematical patterns they needed to restore. The aliens brought them food at some point, strange, glowing fruits that their suits analyzed as safe for human consumption. Maya was surprised to find it tasted like honeyed mangoes. The gesture of sharing a meal seemed to bridge some of the remaining gap between the species, and the aliens began teaching them simple words and gestures. Finally, they were ready to attempt the repair. The sonic emitter they'd cobbled together looked like something from a mad scientist's laboratory, human electronics jerry-rigged to alien power sources, held together with both human welding and alien molecular bonding. Maya checked the calculations one final time, then looked at Song for confirmation. The alien engineer made a gesture they'd learned meant agreement, then added another they'd come to recognize as expressing hope. Maya nodded and initiated the sequence. The emitter hummed to life, sending precisely calculated frequencies through the crystal matrix. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, impossibly, the darkened crystals began to glow. The mathematical pattern they'd calculated began to assert itself, the natural order of the structure gradually restoring. "It's working," Lisa breathed, watching her power readings. "The pattern is stabilizing. Structural integrity is returning to normal parameters." The alien skin rippled with bright colors as they watched their ship systems return to life. Song made a gesture they hadn't seen before, pressing all four hands over where their heart might be, bowing deeply to Maya and her crew. Maya felt tears in her eyes as she watched the crystal matrix pulse with healthy light. Humanity might be centuries behind these aliens technologically, but they'd proven something important today. When faced with problems that seemed impossible, human creativity and determination could work miracles. They had taken their simple understanding of crystal growth and mathematical patterns and used it to heal a piece of technology they barely understood. As the engine room hummed with restored power, Maya realized they'd done more than just fix a broken ship. They'd proven that despite vast differences in technology and culture, intelligence and ingenuity could bridge any gap. The aliens might have ships that could cross galaxies, but humans had something just as valuable, the ability to think creatively and solve problems with whatever tools were at hand. The real question was, what would they learn from each other now that the bridge between their species had been built? The success with the crystal matrix repair opened new doors of collaboration between the human mechanics and the alien crew. As Maya's team worked through the ship's secondary systems, they found themselves developing an impromptu sign language with their alien counterparts, mixing engineering gestures with mathematical symbols. Song led them to the ship's navigation center, a spherical chamber where three-dimensional star maps floated in the air like scattered diamonds. The alien pointed to a distant spiral arm, then made a gesture indicating mechanical failure. Maya understood, even with the main power restored, the ship's propulsion systems weren't functioning properly. Their faster-than-light drive is down, Lisa reported, studying readings from her tablet. The power flows are stable now, but something's wrong with the actual propulsion mechanism. The aliens brought up a holographic diagram of their drive system. Maya's jaw dropped as she took in the complexity of it, rings within rings of what looked like folded spacetime, all controlled by crystalline arrays similar to the one they just repaired. But where the power distribution had followed recognizable patterns, this was something else entirely. "I don't even know where to begin with this," Derek admitted. "This is so far beyond our technology level, it's like trying to repair a quantum computer with stone tools." Maya studied the hologram, her mind racing. The aliens' technology might be incomprehensible, but the principles of thrust and momentum had to be universal. "Show me the actual drive chamber," she requested through gestures. Song led them through winding corridors to a massive spherical chamber. Suspended in the center was what looked like a perfect black sphere, surrounded by the same crystalline rings they'd seen in the diagram. Maya walked around it slowly, noting how the rings aligned. "James," she called, "what does this setup remind you of?" The structural engineer frowned, then his eyes lit up. "It's like a gyroscope. The rings are positioned to allow rotation on multiple axes, just like in our inertial navigation systems." "Exactly." Maya turned to Song, gesturing excitedly. "The drive isn't just broken, it's out of alignment. Like a gyroscope that's lost its center of gravity." Through a combination of diagrams and gestures, they explained their theory to the aliens. Song's skin rippled with what they'd come to recognize as the equivalent of excited agreement. The alien engineer brought up more detailed diagnostics, confirming Maya's suspicion. The next problem was how to realign a drive system that manipulated the fabric of spacetime itself. The aliens' tools for this task had been damaged in the same incident that caused the initial failure. They needed a new approach, a human approach. "What if we treat it like balancing a ship's propellers?" James suggested. "Use vibration analysis to find the resonant frequencies, then adjust until they match the optimal pattern." It was a primitive solution to an incredibly advanced problem, like using a tuning fork to calibrate a quantum computer. But the underlying principle was sound. Maya shared the idea with Song, who contemplated it for several long moments before making the gesture for agreement. They spent hours rigging up an array of sensors around the drive sphere, using both human and alien technology. Lisa wrote a program to translate the alien ship's frequency measurements into terms their human equipment could understand. Derek and James worked with the aliens to set up adjustment mechanisms on each of the crystal rings. "Ready when you are, Chief," Lisa reported, her fingers hovering over her tablet's controls. "Though I still can't believe we're trying to balance a faster-than-light drive like it's a wobbly ceiling fan." Maya gave the signal to begin. The sensors came alive, feeding data to their hybrid human-alien analysis system. The black sphere began to hum at a frequency that made their teeth vibrate. On Lisa's display, complex waveforms danced and intersected. "There." Maya pointed to a pattern in the waves. "That's our baseline resonance. James, start adjusting ring 1. For the next hour, they made microscopic adjustments to the ring's positions, watching the waveforms slowly align. It was delicate work, the slightest movement could throw off the entire pattern. But gradually, the chaotic frequencies began to harmonize. The black sphere's hum changed pitch, becoming deeper, more stable. The alien skin began to pulse with bright patterns, and Song made an urgent gesture toward the star map display. The holographic galaxies shifted, showing their position relative to the aliens' home system. "Power readings are optimal," Lisa reported excitedly. "All drive frequencies are aligned and stable. I think we actually did it." The aliens erupted in a chorus of musical tones that had to be celebration. Song approached Maya, holding out a small crystalline device. Through gestures, the alien explained that it was a database of their engineering knowledge, a gift of gratitude from one group of problem solvers to another. Maya felt a swell of pride as she watched her team exchange more technical information with the aliens. They had faced technology centuries beyond their understanding, but they hadn't let that stop them. Instead, they had used creativity and basic engineering principles to solve problems in ways the aliens had never considered. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best, even for the most advanced technology. But as she studied the star map showing the vast distance to the aliens' home, she wondered what other challenges lay ahead. They had fixed the ship, but would this be the end of their collaboration, or just the beginning? The celebration over the drive repair was cut short by a piercing alarm that filled the ship. Song's skin shifted to dark, worried colors as the alien rushed to a nearby console. The holographic displays erupted with warning symbols. "Something's wrong," Lisa said, studying her tablet's readings. "The power signatures are becoming erratic. The drive alignment is perfect, but..." She trailed off, eyes widening. Oh no. The drive test sequence activated something else in their systems. Some kind of feedback loop. Maya hurried to study the readings. The realignment of the faster-than-light drive had sent a power surge through systems they hadn't fully mapped yet. Somewhere in the complex network of alien technology, that surge had awakened a cascading failure they hadn't detected before. James called up a structural analysis. "The ship's quantum field containment is destabilizing. If it collapses completely..." He didn't need to finish. They all knew what a containment failure in a ship this size would mean. The resulting explosion would be visible from Earth. Song's musical voice took on an urgent tone as the alien brought up more system diagrams. The problem was deep in the ship's quantum containment core, a section they hadn't even seen yet. The alien's gestures conveyed both the danger and the complexity of the situation. "They can't shut it down," Lisa translated from the readings. "The feedback loop is self-sustaining now. We have maybe 30 minutes before total containment failure." Maya's mind raced. The quantum containment technology was even more advanced than the drive system. They had no way to interface directly with it, no time to learn its principles. But as she studied the power flow diagrams, she noticed something. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a pattern in the energy signatures. "The feedback loop has a rhythm to it. It's like a standing wave in the quantum field. If we can't shut it down directly, maybe we can disrupt the wave pattern itself." Derek frowned. "Like using destructive interference to cancel out sound waves. But how do we generate a counterwave in a quantum field?" "The crystal matrix," Maya said suddenly. "We already know how to manipulate its energy patterns. If we can match the frequency of the feedback loop and generate an opposite phase." She quickly sketched out her idea for Song. The alien's colors shifted rapidly: concern, understanding, hope. Through their improvised sign language, Song indicated that it could work, but the timing would have to be perfect. They would only get one chance. The next 20 minutes were a blur of desperate activity. Lisa worked with the aliens to map the exact frequency pattern of the feedback loop. Derek and James modified their sonic emitter from the earlier repair, recalibrating it to affect the quantum field through the crystal matrix. Maya and Song calculated the precise phase cancellation they would need. Warning alarms grew more intense as the containment field continued to destabilize. The ship's artificial gravity began to fluctuate, making their work even more difficult. Through it all, human and alien engineers worked side by side, each contributing their unique understanding to the solution. 5 minutes to containment failure, Lisa reported tensely. "The feedback loop is reaching critical amplitude." Maya checked their calculations one final time. "Now or never," she said, looking at Song. The alien engineer made the gesture for agreement, then added one they'd come to recognize as meaning trust. They initiated the modified emitter. The crystal matrix began to pulse with a counter-rhythm to the feedback loop. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship shuddered as two massive energy patterns collided in its quantum field. "The patterns aren't quite matching," Derek called out. "The phase cancellation is incomplete." Maya watched the holographic power flows, seeing how the patterns almost, but didn't quite, align. Then she remembered something from the crystal matrix repair, how it had responded to natural growth patterns. "Lisa, modify the counterwave frequency. Match it to the Fibonacci sequence we found earlier. The ship's systems naturally align with that pattern." Lisa's fingers flew over her controls, adjusting the frequency. The crystal matrix's glow shifted, its energy output changing to match the natural mathematical pattern. Suddenly, the power flows snapped into alignment. The feedback loop shuddered, destabilized, and finally collapsed. Warning alarms died away as the quantum containment field restabilized. The ship's gravity normalized. In the sudden silence, Maya could hear the normal hum of the ship's systems returning to their steady state. Song's skin rippled with colors of relief and gratitude. The other aliens gathered around the human crew, making gestures of thanks and respect. They had done more than just prevent a catastrophe, they had proven that their species could work together to overcome any challenge. Maya looked at her team with pride. They had faced down a quantum physics problem with nothing but basic wave theory and an understanding of natural patterns. Sometimes the most advanced problems could be solved by understanding fundamental principles. But as the excitement of their success faded, Maya began to wonder. They had saved the ship, but what would this mean for humanity's place in a universe that suddenly seemed much larger and more complex than they had imagined? In the aftermath of the crisis, the alien ship's grand observation deck became a meeting ground between the two species. Through the vast transparent panels, Earth was barely visible as a pale blue dot in the distance, while the stars beckoned with new possibility. The aliens had brought out what seemed to be a ceremonial feast, strange, luminescent foods arranged in perfect mathematical patterns. Maya and her crew had been cleared to remove their helmets after the aliens' atmospheric systems were fully restored, allowing them to truly share a meal with their new allies. Song approached with a device that projected a new kind of holographic interface between them. As the alien activated it, English words began to form alongside their musical language. The translation wasn't perfect, but it was enough. "You have done more than save our ship," Song's translated words appeared. "You have shown us a new way of thinking. Our technology had become so advanced that we had forgotten the importance of understanding basic principles." Maya smiled, accepting a glowing fruit that tasted like stardust and honey. "And you've shown us that there's so much more to learn. Your engineering is incredible, it's like seeing hundreds of years into humanity's future." Through the translator, they learned the full story. The aliens, who called themselves the Harmonious, as near as the translator could manage, were explorers from a civilization that spanned multiple star systems. Their ship had been damaged while studying an unusual quantum phenomenon, leaving them stranded far from established trade routes. "We did not expect to find such advanced problem-solving skills in a species that has barely begun interstellar travel," another alien engineer commented. "Your solutions were unconventional, but remarkably effective." "Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones," James offered. "All the advanced technology in the universe still has to follow basic physical laws." Lisa was already deep in discussion with several alien engineers, comparing notes on how their different approaches to technology might complement each other. Derek was studying the crystal matrix documentation they'd been given, his eyes wide with excitement at the possibilities it represented. Song's translator displayed, "We would propose an exchange. Our council will want to establish diplomatic relations with your governments, but we believe technology sharing should begin with those who understand it best, the engineers and problem solvers." Maya felt a surge of emotion as she understood what was being offered. "You want to establish an engineering exchange program? Your species has much to learn from our advanced technology," Song's words appeared. "But we have much to learn from your creative approaches and fundamental understanding. Together, we could solve problems neither of our species could handle alone. The implications were staggering. Human engineers working alongside alien counterparts, learning from each other, combining their different perspectives to push the boundaries of what was possible. It wasn't just about advancing human technology, it was about building bridges between civilizations through the universal language of engineering. There will be challenges, Maya said thoughtfully. Cultural differences, language barriers, different approaches to problem solving. Like realigning a faster-than-light drive with sound waves. Song's translator displayed what seemed to be an attempt at humor. We believe these challenges are worth facing. Maya looked at her crew, seeing the same excitement in their eyes that she felt. They had come out here to fix broken machinery, but they had found something far more valuable, a chance to be part of humanity's first steps into a larger universe. Besides, she said with a smile, solving difficult problems is what engineers do best. As they sealed the agreement with another shared meal, Maya watched Earth's distant light through the observation window. Their mission had started with a simple distress call in the outer solar system. It was ending with the promise of a future where human ingenuity would help bridge the gaps between stars. They had proven that humanity had something valuable to offer the galaxy, not just technology or resources, but a way of thinking that could complement even the most advanced civilizations. Their creativity, their determination, their ability to find elegant solutions to complex problems, these were gifts worth sharing with the universe. As the harmonious ship prepared to depart for Earth to begin formal diplomatic contact, Maya knew that this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, beyond the distant stars, other challenges waited. But with human ingenuity and alien wisdom working together, there was no problem they couldn't solve. The universe, it seemed, was full of broken things waiting to be fixed. And now humanity would have a chance to help fix them all, one creative solution at a time.